Welcome to this new episode of Eagle Rewind. I'm Josh McAnerney.
And I'm Parker Stone.
And we're going to talk this week about the NCAA tournament, which is currently going on. And it's called March Madness for a reason. This year has really been crazy. There's been a ton of upsets.
Lots of upsets. Probably the biggest one, Oral Roberts over Ohio State. It's obviously surprising me. It's 2 seed, 15 seed, but that's probably the one. Like, if I had to pick one upset out of the 1 to 2 seeds, that's what I would have picked, just because Oral Roberts leads the nation in free throw percentage, and one of their players leads the nation in points per game. So that'd be the one I would think, but either way, it's a big upset.
Yeah, there was a lot of upsets. And I was kind of looking at teams that pulled off the upsets. So Oral Roberts, we just talked about, they finished the regular season at 18-10, which isn't great, but it's decent. And for them to come in and take over a team like Ohio State, who's played in the Big Ten, and the Big Ten had a huge year. They sent, 7?
It was more than that. Big 12 had 7. I think Big 10 had 9, I want to say.
Yeah, so they had multiple teams in the tournament.
Only one team left, though. It was Sweet 16.
Yeah, the Big Ten really they flopped in the tournament.
Big 12 did first round. They did really good. I believe they went 6-1. Now they only have one team left in Sweet 16 too.
Yeah, and then another team that pulled off a pretty good big upset was North Texas.
I did not see that one coming.
Me neither. As a 13 seed, they beat another Big Ten team in Purdue, and just like Oral Roberts, North Texas had a 18-10 record. So neither one of those teams were going to get into the tournament if they hadn't won their conference tournament. And they both also pulled off some upsets in those conference tournaments to get into the March Madness. Another game, Creighton ended up winning. They were the higher seed, but UC Santa Barbara should have won that game. They had a point blank shot right at the last second that the dude unfortunately missed, and they lost by 1 point.
I picked that upset, but unfortunately it did not go through.
Yeah.
Same with Ohio, Virginia. Ohio, the 13 seed upsetted the 4 seed Virginia. They won by 4. I saw that one coming just because Virginia didn't get down to Indianapolis until the day before. And Ohio, Jason Preston is a very good player. So I that one didn't really surprise me that much. I don't think it surprised very many people either.
I think that, in my opinion, that Ohio game was the biggest upset in the tournament.
Really?
Because, Virginia historically, except for that one awful loss to UMBC, where they were the first 1 seed to ever lose to a 16 seed, they're normally really good in the tournament. And Ohio is not a team that you would think of as a basketball school. And for them to come in, and they really kind of controlled that entire game against Virginia, and sent Virginia home with another first-round upset. And then, you're not going to like this, but in the second round, USC beat up on Kansas. That was my favorite game of the tournament.
Least favorite for me.
USC won by 34.
Yeah, Kansas couldn't buy a shot all night, and the length of USC really got to them. Like Bill Self said after the game, basically saying he needs better players, but without saying it. He said they need to get more length, they need to get bigger, more athletic. And it's true, though. I mean, USC had a great shooting night. I believe they went 11 for 18 from 3. And it happens in March. Like they say, this is March.
Yeah. And
Evan Mobley did play pretty well.
I'll be honest, I don't think anybody feels sorry for Kansas just because they're tired of them winning. But as a K-State fan and tired of seeing KU win, I was thrilled about that game. I was at the NAIA tournament in Kansas City, and I was following that KU game, and I was so excited. And then another upset, UCLA. They started the tournament as one of the first 4 play-in games. They got a chance. They won that and advanced to play BYU.
This one didn't surprise me either.
I chose in all of my brackets that I made, I chose BYU to win. But after watching UCLA in that play-in game, I kind of regretted that decision because they looked really good in that play-in game against Michigan State. Yeah.
I picked UCLA just because Johnny, I believe it's Juzang, and then their point guard. They're all, I don't know. I just really like the way they play. They're really athletic.
Yeah, they're really athletic. They play really hard. they're sprinting all around the court, setting hard screens, getting rebounds. I love the style of play they have. And as a team that played in a play-in game, you wouldn't think they would go very far, but they ended up knocking off BYU. And then they kind of got the benefit here. The next team they played with ended up being Abilene Christian because they got a huge upset against the Texas Longhorns. What do you think about that?
Yeah, about that. Texas should have won. They were up by 1 with like a couple seconds left to go. Abilene Christian dribbled down the court, and then with like 2 or 3 seconds left, the ref called a foul. And I think in that situation you got to let them play, and I don't think it was a foul either way. But man, I picked Texas to go to the Final Four, so that one hurt me.
Yeah, I had Texas going pretty far. They looked really good at the end of the regular season. They won the Big 12 tournament. Like they were on fire, and I don't really know what happened with Abilene Christian, if they were overlooking them or what. But Abilene Christian ended up coming in with the upset.
And Abilene Christian actually hasn't been bad at all this year.
They haven't. I haven't followed them at all this year. Didn't even know that they were in the tournament until the seedings. But I was looking them up earlier, and they had a terrific season. They went 24-5 overall. They were 13-2 in their conference. So if you have really been following Abilene Christian, it really shouldn't come as a surprise that they were at least competitive with Texas, and for them to come away with the win, that was huge.
Yeah.
So then UCLA ended up playing them, and they won by 20. So they advanced to the Sweet 16, and they have a very tough matchup against Alabama.
Yeah, and I think Alabama's going to win, but I would not be surprised, especially with this year, if UCLA ends up winning just because their athleticism and how hard they play. It would not surprise me.
Yeah. And then some of the conferences, the Big 12 sent 7 teams. Most of them played really well in the first round and then could not come away with the win in the second round. So the only Big 12 team remaining is Baylor.
They'll play Villanova, who's without Colin Gillespie, their best player.
Yeah.
But Villanova whooped North Texas by 23. So.
They did. Baylor's great. I've been watching them all year because they're a Big 12 team. But I feel like Villanova, because Jay Wright as their head coach, I think he is one of the best college basketball coaches in the nation.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Villanova, between his coaching and their winning culture that he's built, I think they come away with that big upset win in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, that would not surprise me. I'm still picking Baylor because of defense. Jared Butler, really, really good point guard. I'd say he's probably the smartest point guard in the college basketball. I'm gonna pick Baylor. Very close game, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very competitive and very close.
I think it'll be one of the best games, Sweet 16. That and probably Florida State, Michigan.
Yeah, that'll be a big game to watch. And then the winner of that will move on to play the winner of Arkansas and Oral Roberts.
I think we all know who we want to win, but
yeah. Arkansas, I'll be honest, I know nothing about them this year for basketball. They took care of Colgate in their first round, and then they had a very close game against Texas Tech. And,
Texas Tech blew it at the end.
Yeah. And Oral Roberts, I don't remember the guy's name right now, but their big man, let me look it up real fast. He's been playing terrific in this tournament. Kevin O'Banner of Oral Roberts, he's been coming up huge in the tournament. He's scoring up in the 20s. He's getting double-digit rebounds. He's really been taking over in all the games they've played, and whenever they need an answer, when they need a clutch bucket, they get it to him, and he will take care of it.
For sure.
I would love to say Oral Roberts in this game, and I think the whole country would. But I'll be honest, I know I can't pick a team here because I don't know anything about Arkansas.
Arkansas is a really good all-around team. They shoot the ball really well. I'm going to pick Arkansas just because that, and I think Oral Roberts' Cinderella story ends here.
Yeah, and Oral Roberts as a 15 seed, they're only the second 15 seed ever to make it to the Sweet 16. You know who that first one was?
Florida Gulf Coast,
yep.
Dunk City.
Dunk City.
They're really fun to watch in March.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping Oral Roberts can advance to the Elite Eight here.
Yeah.
And then moving down in the bracket, we've got Loyola Chicago is making another run again, just like they did in 2018. And they have
Sister Jean.
Yep, they have Oregon State.
Oregon State has been playing on fire recently, but Loyola Chicago played as perfect as you can get against Illinois. They shut down Kofi Cockburn.
I watched every second of that game, and Loyola, they scored the first point, and they controlled the lead the entire time. They had the lead the entire game.
Yep.
And they were double-teaming Illinois whenever Coburn got the ball, when A.O., what's his last name? Dosumo or something? Yeah. They double-teamed him whenever he got the ball. Their defense really just shut down Illinois' offense. Illinois had no answer. And that big guy for Loyola Chicago,
it's like
Kirkwig.
Yeah.
That guy is so fun to watch. He looks like this big, goofy guy just playing basketball, but he's got some of the best hands and feet in the tournament.
Yeah, he'll set you up going one way, and then like in a blink of an eye, he's all the way on the other side. It's fun watching them play too, because you can tell they really bought into what their coach wants them to do, and they give 100% all the time. Like they're really fun to watch.
Yeah, they are, and like I said, they controlled every aspect of the game against Illinois. They were forcing turnovers and getting transition points. I'm gonna pick Loyola Chicago in this game against Oregon State. What about you?
I'm picking Loyola Chicago as well, but the way Oregon State's been playing, I picked them to upset Tennessee, but then I had Oklahoma State beating them, but they did not. And they shut down Cade Cunningham. I wouldn't say shut down, actually. They held him to what most teams couldn't really do all season. I think he still scored like 17 or somewhere around there, but I'm going to pick Loyola Chicago. I think they end the Oregon State's run. And if you guys didn't know, Oregon State actually was picked last to finish last in the Pac-12, and they were seeded really, really low in the Pac-12, but they ended up winning the conference championship, and that's the only way they made March Madness. So that's actually huge for them. And
this Midwest bracket, it's really there's been a ton of upsets. Mm-hmm. I mean the final four teams in that part of the bracket, there's a 2, 11, 8, and 12 seed. Yeah. So not the way that things were supposed to go there.
What do you think about Syracuse?
The Syracuse and Houston game. Syracuse is always really good in the tournament just because
their zone gets to be
their zone defense, and that unless you play in the ACC and you play Syracuse a lot, that is not something that you typically see.
I mean, just like at West Virginia, especially the first half, they didn't have anything going for them.
So the zone defense is it's really different from what teams are used to, and a lot of teams just can't find a way to adjust to it.
And they're so long as well, so it just makes the defense you have to find the open man, and the open man normally is all the way on the other side of the court, and they're so long, so quick.
Yeah,
they get you right away.
They're going against Houston, who has one of the better guards in the country, and Quentin Grimes, who is a transfer from KU.
I'm happy to see him doing well, though.
Yeah, so he transferred out of KU after his freshman year, and he's now at Houston. And
it's like a totally different player.
Yeah, well, I think a part of that is when you go to KU and you're a 5-star recruit, you're expected to be this star who's going to be a one and done, and it's a lot of pressure on an 18, 19-year-old kid.
I believe he was like the 5th ranked recruit in the nation. Too.
And for him to get away from that, kind of just for mental health, I think that was really helpful for him.
It's a lot closer to home.
Go to Houston, and it's a lot more pressure free, and he's really thriving in that environment right now. He's got them at a 2 seed, and I picked them to win, beat Syracuse, and take on Loyola Chicago in the Elite Eight.
See, I can see both ways here. I love the way Houston plays. I can't remember his name. It's
and really, Houston has no business being in this, anyways, in this round, because Rutgers had the lead against them in the final 2 minutes, and Rutgers choked so bad. They really blew it.
Yeah.
They had never been in a situation like this. Rutgers is not historically a great basketball school, and this was their first time.
Yeah, it was fun to watch them because they play extremely hard and focus on the defensive end. Houston does too. They're really good at defense.
And Houston has guys like Quentin Grimes who are experienced in this situation, and that experience really lifted them to the win. Because
I'm picking Syracuse, so I think Buddy Boeheim is going to go off again, and I think Joe Girard, I think he's going to help as well. I just think the zone defense is going to be too hard to get by. I think really close game again, but I think Syracuse ends up winning it.
So you've picked the opposite team for me every time. I see how it is. And then in the the East bracket, we have Alabama, UCLA.
I'm going to take Bama.
Alabama.
They're really, really good on offense. I want to see UCLA win, just, Cinderella story.
Yeah.
Not doesn't happen that much. And I love the way they play. They play really hard, but I just think Alabama, they've been playing really well recently. I think they beat UCLA.
I really don't know. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to come down to the final seconds. I think I'm going to go with Alabama making some clutch free throws at the end of it and ending this surprising UCLA run.
For sure.
And then a big game here. We got Michigan against Florida State.
I'm picking Florida State. Long, athletic. They always do well March. They play very well under their head coach. And Michigan's without their best player, Isaiah Livers. But then again, Michigan has played pretty well without him.
Yeah.
And they're a really good team. But I think just Florida State's athleticism at the end of the game is going to get to Michigan. I think Florida State pulls it out.
I'm going with Michigan. I had Michigan winning in the first bracket that I made, my main one. So I just got to stick with them.
I had Florida State, Michigan this matchup, and I picked Florida State, so that's what I'm sticking with.
I know Florida State's really hot right now, but I got to go with my bracket, so I'm going to go with Michigan. And then we got USC and Oregon.
Oregon played very well against Iowa.
Yeah.
Then again, Iowa sucks in March every year. They're 3-11 now since 1985 in the round of 32. And Oregon dunked pretty much every ball.
Yeah, Oregon shot the lights out, and I picked Iowa going to the Elite Eight in one bracket and the Final Four in another one. Oregon I had not seen. Really, I haven't seen any Pac-12 team, and this is a Pac-12 matchup here. And I was listening to something else, and they said USC and Oregon were the two they tied in the Pac-12, but because Oregon played one more game and USC got theirs canceled because of COVID, they gave the championship to Oregon in the regular season. So this is USC's chance to get revenge. I don't think Oregon can shoot the way they did against Iowa. I'm going with USC here.
Yeah, I'm going to pick USC as well.
The Mobley brothers are fantastic.
I say Mobley's career high for threes. I believe it was 2 before the game. He ended up with at least, I think he had 5.
It was 4 or 5, yeah. And he really shocked the world with that one.
Yeah, and I'm picking USC. They're extremely hot right now. They beat Drake by 16 or the game before. They beat Kansas by 34, sadly.
Yeah.
And I think the length of USC will really get to Oregon, even though they play each other every year. But I think USC wins this one. Close game. I'm going to say USC pulls it out in the end. I'm going to say USC wins by 8.
USC by 8? All right. Not USC by 34 like they did against KU?
No.
I don't care what happens the rest of the tournament. That KU loss is going to be my favorite one. That'll be the highlight of my March. And then the final game we got here in the West bracket is Gonzaga against Creighton.
I'm picking Gonzaga, but I think Creighton, the only way they have a chance to win this game is if they're a very good shooting team. Extremely good shooting team. In fact, their best three-point shooter is Mitch Ballack. He's from Kansas City area. But I think Gonzaga wins. I think it'll be close first half. Creighton shooting will keep it in. I think about 10 minutes ago, Gonzaga, Jalen Suggs, Drew Timme, all of them, I think they pull away and win by 12, 15.
I'm going to blowout. I'm going 20 or more. Creighton has had they've been kind of gifted here. They've been kind of given a walk in the park. The first time they played UC Santa Barbara, which they should have and almost lost. And then they got lucky. Virginia lost to Ohio, so they had Ohio. So they played a 12 and a 13 seed. And now they're playing the best team in the country. I'm going Gonzaga big. So what kind of players have you seen in this tournament that have really stood out to you?
Right off the bat, first person that comes to my mind is Loyola Chicago's Krutwig. He's played outstanding. I think against Illinois he had 19 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, and a block.
And he was part of that 2018 team that made the run to the Final Four, so he knows what it's like to be here and how to win.
Yeah. Other than that, I think he's by far, in a way, the best player so far. Actually, I don't know. I take that back. Syracuse's Buddy Boeheim, he's gone off. I think he scored in 30s first round, second round. I know he went off again. First round fact, he was hitting from everywhere, like everywhere. I think those are the top two players. Jalen Suggs has played pretty well. Drew Timme has played pretty well. What about you?
I think kind of the obvious answers would be Jalen Suggs and Drew Timme of Gonzaga. Both were named All-Americans. Baylor's got terrific players. They have Jared Butler and Mark Vidal. They have Mark Vidal. He's a big presence in the paint. But I talked about him earlier. I think the biggest surprise player for me, and a guy who I think is super fun to watch just because I love his game, is Kevin O'Banner from Oral Roberts. Yeah, the guy, he plays really hard. He can score in the paint. He can shoot. I love how he goes and gets rebounds. That's just like kind of my style of play, is that really the guy that does the dirty work and gets the rebounds, draws fouls, stuff like that. So
I'm gonna say Isaiah Mobley as well. Evan Mobley's played extremely well. He had like 10 rebounds. It wasn't even halftime yet against Kansas.
Yeah.
And Evan Mobley, I think he'll go number 3 in the draft. He's very, very good. He's long, 7 foot. He runs the floor really well. Can shoot. His footwork's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, Marcus Garrett plays good defense as you can, and he still went off against Kansas.
So of the Sweet 16 remaining, who's your national champion?
Our last podcast, I said Gonzaga gets out, Elite Eight, Final Four. That was before I even saw the bracket. They had a pretty easy bracket. I think Gonzaga will win it all. They're so good. They're so good. I think they'll play. I want to say Baylor, but I don't know. There's been so many upsets. But I'm gonna stick with Baylor, Gonzaga, and I think Gonzaga wins it all.
Yeah. I'm going to go with I have 2 brackets, and actually I have 3. I have Gonzaga winning, Michigan winning, and I went with a big upset one. I chose Houston to win one. I think Houston gets to the Final Four. I don't think they win the national championship.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Michigan or Gonzaga.
I don't think Michigan makes it. I don't even think they make it out of their region. I think Florida State beats them, and if they don't, then Alabama.
Yeah. I'm going to go, my number 1 would be Gonzaga, and my number 2 option would be Michigan.
Yeah.
So let's kind of shift focus here. To the Royals, MLB opening day is April 1st, which is a week away, and I am thrilled about. And for the Royals, there's still some I think a lot of people, after seeing the way Bobby Witt Jr. played, he was making defensive plays, making smart base running plays. Like, he looks MLB ready.
He does. He balled out.
But the guy has only played 37 minor league games, and that was rookie ball. And that was over a year ago because there was no minor league season this past season. So since he's been drafted out of high school, he's played.
Hold on 1 second, Josh. He had an option to become a pitcher as well.
Yeah.
He could have been a pitcher, or I'm glad he picked this one, obviously. But
yeah. So since he got drafted out of high school, he's played less than 40 minor league games in the lowest level you can play. And he's played in the Royals player pool that they had at the T-Bone Stadium last year. So the guy, everybody wants him in Kansas City. I think he's ready. But I think it's a smart decision for the Royals. If he spends 2 weeks just down in the minors, just the first 2 weeks of the season, that adds a whole another year of player control that the Royals can have on him, which is huge. And another big decision on it is he's not even on the 40-man roster yet. So they would have to make a lot of moves, get somebody off of there for him to be on the active roster. And I think they're going to give Nicky Lopez a shot, and he's playing very lackluster this spring. He's batting, as of 2 days ago, he was under 100 batting average.
That's going to need to go up.
Yeah. He's really, I know he's got a Gold Glove caliber glove, but that bat needs to improve for him to last on this team.
I think last year, he started to turn on a little bit, did better towards the second half of the season, but the first half, I think he kept trying to hit a home run, basically.
Yeah.
Swing for fences every time. Rex Hudler, I remember listening to a game. He was saying how he was lifting a lot of weights in the offseason, and that's how actually Saul noticed that's what he was doing. And then second half of the season, Mike Matheny was saying that he talked to him, tried to tell him to quit doing that, just good line drives. And that's
base hits.
Yeah, base hits is all he needs. That's his job. He's a middle infielder. He doesn't need to be hitting home runs.
And then some surprise. So the Royals this past week, they sent down Bobby Witt Jr. to the minor leagues. Yeah. They sent down Daniel Lynch, Jackson Kowar, which really shouldn't be a surprise.
No.
They looked really bad at times. They looked electric at some times. They're just really young and
too inconsistent.
They don't have a lot of experience really. And there's a lot of talent in front of them. Experience in front of them is what I should say. But one guy that they have not sent down yet is Kyle Isbell, who I've been a fan of since day one. They drafted him out of UNLV. He's an outfielder. He's really giving them a serious consideration there to put him in the outfield. I don't know how much room there is for him because that's a guy. He's really young. You want him to play every day, and if right now the minor leagues is the better option for him to play every day, you want that instead of him being a platoon outfielder.
Yeah, slow down. It was slow down the development if that happened.
And some surprise players for me in the spring. Michael A. Taylor.
For sure.
I said a few weeks ago on our podcast, we just need him to hit around 220. In spring, he's batting over 400. He's getting, it seems like every day he's getting multiple hits. He's just...
His little power in his bat, too.
Yeah, he's gotten some home runs. He's gotten doubles, a lot of singles. He's really putting the ball in play, which has been a great surprise for me. Something I'm really excited about. I was not expecting that at all. And if he can play well like that, that's huge for the Royals. It really boosts the lineup and gives opportunities for other guys hitting. If he can get on base, get some RBIs for other guys. And as far as pitching goes, they already announced that Brad Keller would be the opening day starter, and following him would be Mike Minor, then Brady Singer, and then Danny Duffy. And then their fifth, they don't need a fifth starter for, I think, 2 weeks in the season just because they have so many off days to begin it, to ease them back in. And they sent Chris Buich down to the minor leagues, and they said the reason for that was he can still get his workouts and keep pitching on a rotation while he's down there. And then once they need that fifth starter, he'll probably be the guy they call up to fill that spot.
I think that's the best option as well. And I've heard, I was listening to a talk show on the radio the other day. They were saying they think Danny Duffy's going to start season starting lineup, then eventually, as long as the development keeps going, moving to the bullpen, save his arm a little bit, which I think is the best option.
As younger guys like Daniel Lynch and Jackson Kowar and possibly even Asa Lacy, who I was really hoping to see in a spring training game. As of now, he has not gotten the opportunity to play for the Royals minor league team, the Royals spring training team. I think he's pitched in some of the B team games, but nothing on the top team as of yet. He still has not even played a minor league game just because he didn't get that opportunity last year because of COVID. But he could possibly make a push for that last spot if they decide to move Danny Duffy to the pen. And then even Carlos Hernandez, who he pitched in several games last year with the Royals. He's still with the team right now. He hasn't been optioned. I don't think he'll make the opening day roster, but he still has a chance right now. And then that kind of the platoon infield spot, I said before spring training, I wanted McBroom. I've always been a bigger McBroom fan. And he's batting much better than O'Hearn has. O'Hearn's batting less than 200. McBroom is up near 280. O'Hearn strikes out a lot. He hits a lot of ground balls. He does his power. He can get a home run here and there. But I think McBroom's the better all-around hitter. He can play the outfield better. And I hope that they choose McBrim over O'Hearn. And then Hunter Dozier, he started the spring really slow, but he's really picked it up as of lately. He's like lava hot right now.
That's how he always does it, too.
He always starts really slow, and then he really kicks it up in gear. He just signed a new contract extension, $25 million deal, and Salvador Perez just got the biggest Royals contract in Royals history. 4 years. Yeah, he does. 4 years, $84 million. I think that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
I think, he's a little bit older, and odds are he's not going to produce in a few years of what he should be compared to what he should be earning.
But he's always going to be that guy in the locker room.
But he's always going to be that team leader, that spiritual guy. And
after all the pay cuts he's taken to help save some money, he definitely deserves that money.
And the way he hit last year and the way he's hitting this spring, if he can keep that going, he's proving that he deserved that money right now. And then the outfield, we have Ben Attendee. He's not hitting as well as I had hoped this spring. I'm hoping he can pick it up. He's changing his plate approach. And then Whit Merrifield, as of right now, is the right fielder. And then Michael A. Taylor in center. And then that backup spot,
I think it'll end up being Dyson.
Yeah. I mean, that wasn't my favorite signing, honestly.
I liked it just because it reminded me back 2015.
Yeah, I know. That's great. But there were younger guys who I think can produce better for the Royals. Dyson, he's a great center fielder. He's got great speed, but he's old. He can't really hit. But he does have a World Series ring. He knows how to be a leader for that team and kind of coach up those young guys. But I would have liked to see somebody like Edward Olivares out there. Who knows? Maybe they'll let Kyle Isbell on there. I don't think they will. But they would have to open up a 40-man roster spot for him. And then in the bullpen, Wade Davis, they signed him to a minor league deal. He's not on the 40-man roster. But his ERA is still 0 in spring. He's looking really good. And he will for sure be on the opening day roster. They're going to have to move some guys around on the 40-man for him to be on there. Josh Stallmont, who started off kind of slow, he got COVID really bad, and I guess they said he lost a lot of muscle. He's working his way back. We all know the electric pitcher that he can be. Scott Barlow, I'm a huge Scott Barlow fan.
I like Scott Barlow as well.
He'll be in the bullpen.
He's that kind of guy you can put in any situation. Anybody on base.
He's got a rubber arm. He can pitch 5 innings. He can pitch 1 inning. He can do whatever you need to do.
20 days in a row.
That's the guy. You've always want a guy like that in the pen. Yeah. And he led the Major League Baseball in appearances out of the pen last year. Mike Matheny uses him a lot. And
that's a name you guys should know if you don't know him.
Yeah, he's always ready to pitch. Jesse Hahn. He pitched really well last year, coming off of an injury. I think he'll be a 7th or 8th inning guy for the Royals. Jacob Junis has looked terrific in the spring this year. Typically, in the past years, he's only had a fastball slider combination. He's got a deadly slider, but when you only have 2 pitches, it gets kind of predictable for major league hitters. So he's really added a 2-seam fastball and a cutter this year in the spring, and that's really working great for him. I've always been a Junis fan, and honestly, in my opinion, he's looking good enough. He could be a starter if they need to be, but I think they'll put him in the pen. And then kind of there's a few open spots in the pen, and there's a battle between guys like Richard Lovelady, Jake Newberry, and Kyle Zimmer. Kyle Zimmer, he was really good last year. He's kind of struggled a little bit this spring. I like Richard Lovelady because he's left-handed, and he's really young, and he's been a closer in the minors, so he knows how to handle those pressure situations. Yeah,
which is huge.
I think the Royals are really going to surprise some teams this year.
Mm-hmm. Sleeping giant.
Yeah, they've got a lot of talent. They've got a lot of guys with high ceilings. We all know what Whit Merrifield is going to do. He's going to probably lead the major league in stolen bases and hits again. He's batting over 400 this spring. He's looking as good as he's ever been, which is crazy to think.
I'm so glad they didn't trade him.
Yeah. And then other guys that are kind of hit and miss that they can be terrific or they can be a big hole in the lineup would be Mondesi. Hunter Dozier, I think, could have an all-star season this year. Mark my word, Hunter Dozier is going to be in the top 3 running for American League All-Star. I've loved Hunter Dozier since the day they drafted him, and he's finally gotten his chance. He got this big contract, and I think, in my opinion, he's the best all-around hitter for the Royals. He's got power. He can hit for average. He's a really good team player. He's one of my favorite guys in this team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the Royals are going to be really good this year, much better than they have since 2016 till present. I think they could even be around 500 maybe. And maybe they add some guys at the trade deadline and make a push for a wild card spot. Who knows? But I think the days of 100 lost seasons and being one of the worst teams in the division is over. I think the Royals, I think the Royals turn it around, and they are going to be a solid baseball team this year. For the first time in Kansas City history, we have
two good.
We have one of the, in my opinion, the best football team in the NFL.
Sadly, I'd say so.
Broncos fan doesn't approve of that. And then a baseball team that is really turning it around and stepping it up, and with the way things are going, make some postseason runs in 2 or 3 years. We've got a great future in Kansas City ahead of us.
We do. Knock on wood.
Thanks for listening to the Eagle Rewind. We'll see you guys next week.